Henri Matisse, French wild beast. Called a wild beast for his unnatural, vivid, strong colors, Henri Matisse expressed himself with bold, strong paintings and took his cats everywhere with him, from his studio to his expensive hotel rooms. Along with Pablo Picasso and Marcel Duchamp, Henri Matisse was one of the most influential artists of the 20th century. Born in northern France in 1869, Henri's father, a wealthy grain merchant, encouraged him to become a lawyer. So, when he was 20, he studied law in Paris and passed the exams with distinction. Means he passed with a very high score. Then he had to spend months recovering at home from appendicitis. To cheer him up, his mother bought him a box of paints. Later he said, "From the moment I held the box of colors in my hands, I knew this was my life." He decided to become an artist, and in 1891 he returned to Paris to study art, but he failed the entrance exam to the prestigious, famous École des Beaux-Arts. This is a picture of Marcel Duchamp, and another artist he enjoyed was Gustave Moreau. Matisse enrolled or started school at the Académie Julian, where he was taught by the artist William Adolphe Bouguereau, who was highly admired for his smooth, realistic painting style. However, Matisse found Bouguereau's teaching boring and tedious. Tedious means you must pay attention and it makes you tired. He left after a year and joined the studio of Gustave Moreau instead. Moreau was an important symbolist painter who encouraged his students to try new ideas. Both Bouguereau and Moreau taught students to draw models over and over again. Models being life drawing. Matisse took the entrance exam for the École des Beaux-Arts 5 times, and eventually he passed. At first, Matisse painted traditional style still lifes and landscapes, influenced by artists such as Jean-Baptiste Siméon Chardin and Edouard Manet, and by Japanese art. In 1896, Matisse exhibited 5 paintings at the Société Nationale des Beaux-Arts. In 1896 and 1897, he visited the Australian painter John Peter Russell on the island of Belle-Île off the Brittany coast. Brittany is a place in France. Russell had studied with Vincent van Gogh and Henri de Toulouse-Lautrec, and was also a friend of Claude Monet. He introduced Matisse to Impressionist ideas of painting with bright colors. After their meetings, Matisse's style changed completely. While struggling, working hard to earn money, Matisse married his fiancée, Émilie Parère, who worked as a hat maker to support them both. She also often posed as his model. Émilie and Henri had two sons, Jean, born in 1899, and Pierre in 1900. Matisse's daughter, Marguerite, from a previous relationship, lived with them too. Matisse painted Marguerite with a black cat. Through John Russell, Matisse met Camille Pissarro, the Impressionist, who advised him to go to London to study the paintings of J.M.W. Turner. For their honeymoon, Henri and Émilie stayed in London. Like Pissarro and Monet, Matisse was inspired by Turner's atmospheric sky paintings and his use of color. After London, Matisse visited hot Corsica. Corsica is an island that belongs to France, near Italy. And on his return to Paris early in 1899, he discussed art ideas with other artists, such as Albert Marquet, whom he had met in Moreau's studio. In May 1905, Matisse went to Collioure in the south of France and invited the artist André Derain to join him. There, they created a new style of painting using vivid, strong colors and forgetting shadows and perspective that made things look 3D. At the end of the summer, Matisse took 15 oil paintings, 40 watercolors, and over 100 drawings back to Paris. He loved the light, colors, and scenery of Collioure and returned to paint there in the summers of 1906, 1907, 1911, and 1914. Here is a painting by André Derain, and here's another painting by Matisse, a view of Collioure. Deciding that the official art exhibition held in Paris was too old-fashioned, Matisse and his friends Georges Rouault, Derain, and Marquet organized the Salon d'Automne, the Autumn Salon, in 1903 and 1905. Matisse exhibited some of the work he had produced at Collioure at the Salon d'Automne, along with other artist friends including Derain, Marquet, Maurice de Blaminique, Blamink, Rouault, and Georges Braque. Most visitors were horrified by Matisse's new paintings. The colors were overly bright, and the pictures looked messy and unfinished. One critic wrote scornfully, a little bit angrily, that the paintings looked like fauves, or wild beasts. Fauve is a French word for wild beast. The movement became called Fauvism. Fauvism, and Matisse was seen as the leader. Matisse also made sculptures of expressive figures. Throughout his life, Matisse was intrigued by the power of color. Through paint, he explored the ways that colors could inspire different feelings, and he wanted his art to inspire or cause positive, happy feelings in viewers. Fauvism did not last long, and most Fauvists soon began painting in other ways. But Matisse continued painting with bold, bright, and unnatural colors, using few lines and flat-looking shapes. Even though Pablo Picasso was 11 years younger than Matisse, they became good friends. Matisse was influenced by Picasso's art and by traveling. After he had visited Algeria and Morocco, Matisse painted more exotic subjects and colors. From 1911 to 1916, he painted several figures in rooms decorated with Eastern rugs and African ornaments. And later, he painted the dazzling light of southern France, where he lived. Over his life, Matisse had many cats. Although he didn't paint them very often, he loved them very much. In 1917, he moved to Nice. Nice is in the south of France. His last home in Nice was the Hotel Regina, where royalty, kings and queens, had stayed. It's a very expensive hotel. Matisse took his cats to live with him even there. During the 1940s, Matisse had two tabby cats, Minouche and Cousy, and a black cat named La Puce, the flea. He often shared his morning brioche with La Puce. Brioche is a fantastic and delicious morning bread, usually made with egg. Please, I'll show you a picture later. It's so delicious. Here's a picture of Cousy and La Puce. Matisse also had a passion for birds, and especially doves, which began during the summer of 1936. Along the banks of the river Seine in Paris, he had seen songbirds and doves in cages for sale. He bought several and kept birds for the rest of his life. After an illness in 1941, Matisse was confined to bed. He had to stay in bed, so he began making paper collages. With assistance, he cut paper into shapes, then arranged them into lively compositions, called découpage. His first cutouts were for stage sets and ballet costume designs in 1937 and 1938. His cats kept him company. In 1948, Matisse designed stained glass windows for the Rosary Chapel in Venice. In 1954, aged 84, he died of a heart attack. He had given Picasso the last of his fancy pigeons, which Picasso drew in a famous work, The Dove of Peace. This is a famous painting by Picasso, and here's a picture of Matisse's découpage. And he was confined to bed because of an illness. And here is Matisse as a younger artist in 1913.